All right. If the defense would please rise, and if Madam Clerk could please publish the verdicts.
We, the jury, find as follows as to Shelby Nealy in this case. As to count one, we, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Shelby Nealy was previously or contemporaneously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use of violence to another person. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes, 12. We, the jury, have unanimously found the state proved one or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether one or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating circumstances. We have further considered whether Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. We, the jury, find by a vote of 11-1 that Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to death. As to count two, we, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Shelby Nealy was previously or contemporaneously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use of violence to another person. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state has proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes, 12. We, the jury, have unanimously found that the state proved one or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether one or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating circumstances. We have further considered whether Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. We, the jury, find by a vote of 11-1 that Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to death.
Shelby Nealy, once a family man and father, is now a convicted murderer. A man sentenced to death after brutally killing his wife and her entire family. What drove him to such violence? How did someone go from husband to horrific killer? And how did the justice system respond? Shelby Nealy grew up in Florida. Though details of his childhood remain murky, his later life reveals a troubled past, marked by instability, mental health struggles, and prior incidents where he and his wife, Jamie Ivancic, clashed fiercely. Testimony later surfaced of domestic conflicts stretching back years, and a 2015 Baker Act incident where Jamie was institutionalized after threats of self-harm. By early 2018, Nealy and Jamie had a child together. Jamie was just 21 when she was killed. Nealy later alleged that Jamie was violent toward him and their child, but behind closed doors, something darker was brewing. One night in January 2018, Shelby Nealy killed his wife, Jamie. He disposed of her body in their home. According to investigators, he buried her in his own backyard, enshrouded in garbage bags. Her skull was later found fractured, surrounded by signs of a violent struggle. Rather than report her missing, Nealy assumed her identity online, corresponding with her family via text and social media, pretending she was still alive. For months, the Ivancic family was none the wiser. By December 2018, the Ivancic family grew suspicious. Shelby Nealy, driving from Texas, returned to their home in Tarpon Springs. On that trip, he killed Jamie's parents, Richard and Laura Ivancic, and her brother Nick. The murders were cold, calculated, and deliberate. Neighbors noticed something chilling. Deborah Lafferton later reported seeing Nealy digging what looked like a grave outside the Ivanchich home. Authorities eventually discovered the bodies 2 weeks later. Nealy was arrested in Ohio in January 2019.
Hi there everyone, Matt Wright here on Newman Avenue in Lakewood, where police have tracked down the suspect in a triple murder in Tarpon Springs, Florida. That's outside of Tampa. Police tracking the suspect right here to this house on Newman Avenue last night, arresting him around 7 o'clock. You can see the house, not much going on here, police keeping an eye on it, but we do know from police in Lakewood that the suspect has been identified as Shelby John Nealy, a 25-year-old. He also goes by the alias Shelby Svensson. Police in Tarpon Springs, Florida, saying that he is suspected in the triple murder of his in-laws, a 71-year-old, a 59-year-old, and their 25-year-old son. And police in Florida saying at this time, the suspect, Shelby Nealy's 21-year-old wife, is still missing under suspicious circumstances, and she is considered endangered. Her name, Jamie Nicole Ivancic. She is 21 years old. And again, she is the wife of the murder suspect. The suspect believed to have been responsible for the murders of her relatives, 3 of them, in Tarpon Springs, Florida. They were discovered just a couple of days ago and were believed to have been dead for some period of time. Now, what is the link to Lakewood? Well, Tarpon Springs police alerted Lakewood police that there may be a connection, that the suspect may have been in Lakewood. Lakewood police were then able to track down the license plate of a suspected stolen vehicle that he may have been with and may have had possession of from Florida. Lakewood police tracked that, saw that it was in Lakewood 2 days last week on the 24th and the 26th, and then police were able to track that vehicle to this house. They did a lookout and then took Shelby Svensson, the suspect, into custody last night around 7 o'clock. The U.S. Marshals were also involved, Lakewood police, a SWAT team also here. Lakewood police say there were also 2 young children, 2 and 3 years old, who were inside the house at the time. They have now been taken to Cuyahoga County Children and Family Services. They were not harmed, but of course, this is very urgent. Police from Florida now here in Lakewood questioning the suspect, trying to learn more. And the question remains, where is his wife and is she in danger? So.
Okay, well, obviously I did it. I'm trying to think of where I begin this long story.
You want me to ask you a question to get you started?
I mean...
Or do you want to just think about it and you can start wherever you want?
I mean... The story kind of like... Because I know your questions are basically like, why the f*** did this happen, for obvious reasons. I mean... You know what, why don't you start with questions and I'll just make my way into the story in a second. So
Okay.
Go
well, I want to start way back.
Way back?
Childhood. How was your childhood?
Oh, we want to go there. You know, it was a good, man.
Mom and dad both there? Single mom, single dad?
My birth father, he was in Texas my whole childhood. Yeah, my
Shelby's...
Like, I don't know if I'm psychotic or not, but my psychosis didn't really start taking effect till I was like starting to go through stuff. Early adult life, I turned 18. I moved out of my parents' house. You know, I'm still in school. I'm smoking weed and all this shit. I knock up a girl, and then just somewhere down the lines, I drop out of school. We marry, and I don't know, shit was just, I think I just had too much going on my plate back
That's
then.
a lot for a young man to handle.
I just was still dealing with my dad's death and everything, so I started lashing out and hitting her and everything, and the marriage ended.
And what was her name?
Her name was Caitlin.
Caitlin?
Yeah,
Okay.
but we're on good, just because all that stuff happened back in the past, we're on very good terms now.
So how long were you homeless, approximately?
6 months.
6 months. And what changed?
When I met my second wife, which is their mother.
Jamie.
Yes.
Okay, and how did you meet Jamie?
I was a manager at Burger King by this point. Her brother was my employee.
And where is this at? What city and state?
This is Ohio. This is actually up here
Okay.
before we all moved down here. Parma,
Okay.
Ohio.
What city in Ohio?
Parma.
Parma. Okay.
I went home with him one night and to smoke weed, and she was just sitting there in the garage, and we sort of just hit it off from there.
Okay.
And I started dating her and living with her, and that's when shit really started getting bad. You know, everything was cool at first. Occasionally we would argue, and you know, she would, you know, smack me here and there. And I was like, you know, it's whatever. It's a woman. They lose control of their emotions. And by this point, of course, you know, this is after the whole domestic violence. I'm really not trying to hit a woman and all that. So, unfortunately, their daughter was very, how do I put it, disrespectful towards rules when living under. Can I get some water? I'm sorry.
Sure. How do you think you're doing as a dad?
How do I think I'm doing as a dad?
Yeah. With your kids.
I think I did pretty damn good
Yeah.
as a dad. Yeah.
What do you think about Jamie as a mother? How do you think she does?
She did not do good.
Can you give me some examples of why she didn't do good?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. She's not alive anymore because of what
Nealy pleaded guilty in Pinellas County to 3 counts of first-degree murder and also admitted to aggravated cruelty to animals for killing the family's dogs during the murders. He was already serving 30 years for Jamie's death. By mid-July 2025, Nealy's fate was in the hands of a jury deciding between execution or life in prison without parole.
All right. If the defense would please rise, and if Madam Clerk could please publish the verdicts.
We, the jury, find as follows as to Shelby Nealy in this case. As to count 1, we, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Shelby Nealy was previously or contemporaneously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use of violence to another person. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest. Yes, 12. We, the jury, unanimously find the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes, 12. We, the jury, have unanimously found the state proved 1 or more aggravating factors. Each of us has considered whether 1 or more mitigating circumstances exist. Each of us has weighed whether the proven aggravating factors are sufficient and whether the proven aggravating factors outweigh any proven mitigating circumstances. We have further considered whether Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. We, the jury, find by a vote of 11 to 1 that Shelby Nealy should be sentenced to death.
Closing arguments laid bare a deeply disturbing narrative. Prosecution urged the death penalty, highlighting evidence of premeditation, texts showing his planning, photos of his children taken inside the family's home before the killings, and his intentional deception over months. The prosecutor stated his plan all along was to kill all 3, to hide the fact and avoid the arrest for Jamie. Defense asked for mercy, arguing Nealy was damaged by childhood trauma, mental health issues, and domestic abuse at Jamie's hands. They portrayed him as a broken man who snapped under pressure. His former public defender, Maria de Liberato, testified, "He's more than the worst thing he's ever done," saying she has cared for him like family and maintained weekly contact. Additionally, family members and supporters testified Nealy's mother described him with emotion, while others said his actions were driven by fear of losing his children. Still, the jury weighed the brutal facts and, after approximately 2 hours of deliberation, voted 11 to 1 in favor of the death penalty on all 3 counts. A former deputy recounted the 2015 incident involving Jamie's mental health crisis, supporting the defense argument of relationship instability. An Ohio sergeant testified that Jamie had accused Nealy of abuse, including choking, in 2016. Neighbors described the crime scene as grotesque, comparing it to a horror movie. One detective noted the state of disarray, broken items, and signs of violence inside the Ivancic home. Bodies were found alongside personal pets, some deceased. The victim family's impact statements were heart-wrenching. Renee Split read voicemails from her father and spoke of the shattered family she was left with. On July 25, 2025, the jury's recommendation was announced. Shelby Nealy would be sentenced to death on all counts. He remains incarcerated while awaiting a Spencer hearing scheduled for December 9, 2025, where he may present additional mitigation in a final attempt to avoid execution. The case shocked Florida and the nation. A killer who murdered his wife, deceived her family, then eliminated them in cold blood, only to have his sentence hung on whether humanity could coexist with horror. The verdict reflected the brutality of his crimes, but also raised questions about domestic violence, mental illness, and how the legal system examines mitigation in capital cases. Shelby Nealy's story is one of betrayal, horror, and heartbreak, yet also one of accountability and the pursuit of justice. The Ivancic family can never recover what was lost, but their voices ensured that Nealy paid the ultimate price for each life he took.